Today I'm going to be showing you briefly how to answer one of the past questions, specifically the Unit 2, Creating Systems to Manage Information, the Part B section of the question paper, January 2020. This is an important tutorial because it will help, especially those students aspiring to get a better grade in Unit 2. In my previous videos, I think I've explained properly the Part A, and of this particular Part B, we've done the first part, which is the Part BA Section 1. Okay, so but before we start, I think mainly Part B paper focuses on the interface design. I think it's got to do with how to design form and automate forms generally. And doing this will require some expertise and some understanding, of advanced relational databases. So, objective for today, therefore, we're going to look at that very shortly. Right. So, the theme and then the focus of this lesson, therefore, is interface design and automation. An interface is a form in a way, and basically allows the user to interact freely with the database. It's a user-friendly interface, and it's graphic, with some clickable objects like a button, radio button, drop down, and so on the form. And this is what we're going to be working on today. And therefore, our objective will be to design an interface, not just an ordinary interface, but a more advanced interface. And as part of the skills you're going to be learning, you will learn, in addition to designing the interface, you will learn how to convert a text box to a combo box. And you will equally learn how to filter, how to apply filter functionality in macro. I will explain that very shortly, how you can use them. So those are the three main objectives in a way. An important keyword you need to remember, therefore, is the apply filter, query, and macro. Apply filter basically we help in selecting a set of records, giving a set of criteria. Okay, and we're going to make this possible by using drop down, and we'll be automating the filter using a macro, and then we equally do some element of query, in it. A query basically helps to interrogate your database. You ask questions about the database, to produce a particular set of record based on some criteria. You can as well use a query to bring several tables together, so you can retrieve records from them. So we're going to be learning all these things today. But before we start, let's just have a look at the past paper, which is really very important. We're going to go through this question paper because we want our students to do more excellently well than they're performing currently. So the paper we're going to be looking at, as I previously mentioned, is the Friday 17th January 2020, Creating Systems to Manage Information, and this is Unit 2. You all agree with me? So the Part B section is what we're going to be focusing on. Now, so the Part B. Now, the part B, we're going to be reading the instructions. It's really important for students to read carefully the instructions provided by the examiner before attempting any of the activities. It is really very important. And I will read the instructions very quickly so we can start. You are advised to spend 10 minutes reading the task scenario and the activities you are to complete. You may make notes or highlight information to use in the completion of the document you need to produce for your task. Now, the task scenario. Rock Hill Music Festival has partially developed a database which will eventually be merged with the database you created in part A. The festival needs staff to manage the event, for example, bartenders. There must be enough staff to manage both days of the festival. Some staff can work on the Friday, some on Saturday, and some on both days. The database will record information about the staff and management of the event. Now, from this instruction, it is clear that in part A, you've been asked to create a database called Rock Hill Music Festival. But on this occasion, we're not going to use Rock Hill Music Festival. We've been provided with a separate database. And in your exam, it is usually designated as Part B database. Now, it's been partially developed, and then you're required to complete the development, because like we are told, it's going to be merged with the database you designed and created in Part A. Okay. So, what are we to do in Part B? Part B focuses mainly on interface design. And in our previous lessons, we have been able to do the Part A, subsection A of Part B. The highlighted have been done. I will suggest you refer to my video on that. So before we start the next part, I will read the instructions for Part B, set task. You must complete all activities within the set task. Produce your document using a computer. Okay, save your document in your folder ready for submission using the format and naming conventions indicated. Already you're familiar with the saving conventions and how to name your document when saving your work. At the top, it tells you, and then it actually gives you a format and then an example of how your document should be saved. Now, each document must be named like that. The first thing you need to have is your center number, which will be provided by your college. Your registration number will be provided by your college. Then your last name, your initial, and then the part of the paper you're doing. On this occasion, this is Part B, so we write Part B there. Sometimes it's good to put an underscore and then add the activity as well. Right? So we're gonna go straight to the question. So from the scenario, we can see some important information which requires that the structure of the table provided should not be changed in any way. Okay, it means this additional database, Part B database, we must not go into the two tables we're to use and start modifying the data type, the validation, the field size. We're not required to do that. It's really important we adhere strictly to this instruction. So we must not add any validation, we must not change the data type, we must not do any of those things. All we're required to do basically is to design and implement an interface based on the instructions provided by the examiner. You will only be required to use those two tables, TBL staff and TBL job role, to create the interface we're about to create now. So A part, create an efficient interface which will facilitate database input. Now, what is an interface? An interface, in one word, is a form. Alright? And this form basically will be based on TBL staff and TBL job role. Alright? Now, an input form to add a member of staff. Okay? The form should be ready for data entry. Okay, and like I said, the form also means the interface. Okay, the form, the staff member's surname must be present. We're gonna create a kind of a presence check on the surname. Actually, we've done this bit because the focus of this lesson will no longer be focusing on this, because I've done this in the previous video. So we're going to be focusing on the subsection 2, which is this one here. So an input form to check staff availability. So the form will be based on the TBL staff and the TBL job role. Like I said, the form should not include any validation, so we're not to tamper with the data structure, the database structure. The user should be able to select the job role. We will implement this bit by using a drop-down menu or a combo box. The user should be able to select either Friday, Saturday as the day they want to check availability for. So we're going to implement this part as well, be highlighted, using a combo box. So it simply means we're going to be having 2 combo boxes on the form, and when the user make a selection from the 2, then the record will be displayed automatically. Okay, and remember what I said, this is going to be a set of record, not just a single record. Okay, after the job role and the day have been selected, the form must display a list of the names of staff members who are available. So this is a set of record. So what this means, the implication of that is that we're not going to create a form like this, because on this form we can only see a single record, I mean a set of record for a single staff, because this type of form basically will display one record at a go. For instance, this record is for a staff whose staff ID is 1, staff surname Robinson, staff forename Angela. So this is a set of record meant for only one staff, but the type of interface we require to create is such that a list, we're gonna have a list of several records display, I mean for several staff members. Okay, and on the basis of what we have learned before, we know this type of a form is known as columnar form. But on this occasion, we're not going to create columnar form. We're going to be creating a tabular form, so that at least we can see several records at a go. Alright, I'm only trying to give a justification for why we will not be using a columnar form but a tabular form. A columnar form allows us to display several records for several staff at a time. Okay, so I'll close that, and then we can start. Now, like I said, the form we're to create must be based on TBL staff and TBL job role. So I will go on create and go on the form wizard. Now from here we simply have to select staff, and we select staff ID, staff surname, staff forename, availability. For the job role ID, we do not want the job role ID to be displayed, but rather we basically want the actual job to be displayed. But we know that the job role itself is on another table, is on TBL job role, so we pick it from there and add. Okay, I hope this is very clear. Then I'm going to click on next. Now we need a single form because we need several records at a go. There is no need for a sub form at this point, because although you can as well use a sub form, but it will be very difficult for you to program, especially when making a selection. So let's use TBL form so that we have a single form, as you can see now, and click on next. Now, like I said, we're not going to select columnar because columnar we only display a record for only one staff at a go, but we want a list of staff record to be displayed when a search is done. So we click on tabular. As you can see, we can have several records displayed simultaneously. Okay, so we click next, and like I always said, it's really important to give our form a name. But please note, this interface focuses on the job role, start job role, availability basically. So I'm just going to change the name to FRM. We always remember to use the prefix FRM staff availability. Okay, availability. Okay, availability. So let's call it FRM staff availability. Now, see, because we're going to be designing this, I'm going to click on the radio button for modify the form's design, and then click on finish. So this is what we have at the moment, but we really need to design this and then make it much more presentable. And to do this, I will adjust this by moving this down so that we have sufficient space to drag and drop most of the controls we'll be using for our form. Okay, now let's readjust all this. Let's readjust them, make them look nice. So I'm just going to do some quick formatting, and then we can adjust this up there. Let's move it up a little bit. Shift, adjust this. Okay, like that. Okay, so this is not bad. Let's move this up there. Okay, now we can change actually the color of the border. Let's say border color. You can make the border color green if you want. Now the next thing I'm going to do is the font size. We can make the font size maybe 12. Okay, Calibri is fine. We can use Calibri for that. And the next thing we're going to do is we need to format the label. Okay, just format the label, move them down there. Oh, sorry. Shift key and move this down there. Okay, we can change the border color. Let's do it quickly. You can make the border color green as well. And the font size, we can basically make this 12. Text aligned, you can align them center if you want, but I think it's fine the way it is. The background color, can open that, and probably want to make this something like that. And the fore color, we can make this blue, deep blue. Okay, we can make it bold as well. Font weight, bold. So this is not bad. So I'm just going to move this down a little bit. So now we have sufficient space to drag and drop the controls we want. Now the title need to be formatted. Okay, the title need to be formatted. So I'm going to change this to staff availability. You can, let's make it capital. Staff availability interface. Availability interface. Okay. Now what we need to do here, we need to align this center. So you go on text align and select align center. We're going to change the font weight. Changes to extra bold By the way, you can make it bold, but okay, let's make it now I'm gonna change the color for color. Let's make it red. By the way, I prefer to make it white, and then the background color can be made a little bit dark. So let's make this very dark. That's not bad. So I'm going to change the font size a little bit, maybe to 24. Okay. So currently this is what we have, and what we require to do now is we want to be able to provide two combo boxes such that when a selection is made in the two combo boxes, a sequence of record will be displayed. So how do we do that? Probably. So the first thing I want us to do will be to start off with something simple. We're gonna use a text box for a start. Okay, just need to readjust this a little bit. So I will get a text box because it's easier to program a text box. Then we can convert the text box to a combo box as we move along. So drag and drop a text box there. Okay, and this text box we can call it, let's call it we say select, or you can say type if you want. Well, because we know we're going to be changing this to a combo box, so I will say type. Select. Okay. Just need to rearrange this appropriately. Okay, so I will type select availability. Okay, and let's format this appropriately. So the font name, font size, I'm just gonna make this 12, and the font weight you can make it bold, and probably we want to change the color for color to dark, and the background, the back color there, to make it consistent. Okay, probably we want to make it a little bit lighter. Okay, so now select availability. So what I'm going to do here is I will resize this a little bit, then I will duplicate, copy that, and I'm going to change this to select job role. Now there are a couple of things we still need to do here, which I want to talk about. Now our label control here, if you look at them very carefully, you realize they've got some green arrow in the corners. You can see green, so click on it and ignore error, click on each of them, ignore error. You have to do that in turns. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is okay, let me move this a little bit. Because trust me, we just need to make this look nice. Okay. Okay, so now we need to currently the staff surname label control, they join together, make it meaningful, and we need to separate those two words into one job role. Okay. So next, give your availability a name, because what we're going to be doing, we're going to be programming them in a macro. So for instance, availability, you can call it go on all, and where the name says text 11, delete txt. You may call it anything actually, but I'm just going to call it txt avail. And for the job role, I just click on it where it says name, change that to txt. You can call it anything. I'm just going to call it role. Okay, so we're done with the two. Now the next thing we're going to do is we need to write a macro such that when something is typed in here and there, and we click a button here, it should be easy to filter whatever we have here. And to do this is easy. Okay, so we're gonna use macro for that. Let me just correct this error here. Okay, so let's save and go on create macro. Within the macro environment, please ensure you click on show all actions. Click on show all actions, and from the drop down open it and select apply filter. Now where it says apply filter name, leave that blank. But right now there are a couple of things I just need to explain here. On the form, we've got this form here called avail, and we've got another form that we call txt role. So what we want is, we just want to say we will ask Microsoft Access Engine to search for a sequence or a record set where availability, that is availability here, equals to the availability in the text box there, and where the job role from here equals to the job role, the txt, whatever information we have in the txt role here. Okay, so that is basically what the code is all about. But something is important to remember is when referencing the text box for txt avail, that is the text box right here, we must remember to mention forms and then the name of our form, and before referencing the control, so that when referencing txt avail, it's just gonna be forms exclamation mark FRM staff availability exclamation mark, and then the name of the control, which is basically txt avail. Right, this is precisely what I'm going to be writing. So we say where this is equal to this and that. Okay, so let's go back to our macro now. Remember to click on show all actions. From the drop down, select apply filter, and where it says filter name, the text box, leave it blank. Where condition, we can now write availability, okay, let's remember to use a square bracket, equals to, like just like I said, forms exclamation mark, the name of the form, which is FRM staff availability exclamation mark, and then of course the name of the control, which is txt avail. Okay, we finished that. And since there are two criteria required to filter or to search, and where job role, please remember to type the job role exactly as it is here, where job role. Okay, so I will type where job role, job role, job role equal to, just the same way, forms. You can pick that from the IntelliSense, exclamation mark, the name of the form, which is FRM availability, and then the name of the control, which is txt what's the name of the txt role. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through the question again. So the availability is the availability. This is the table. The availability in the table equal to the text box we have on the form for availability that we call txt avail, and the text box for job role on the form, which is txt role. Okay, so we're done with that. I'm just gonna save the macro as mcr my search. You can call it anything anyway, it does not necessarily have to be, but please remember to use the prefix. Remember, this is a macro, you must always use the prefix for macro, which is mcr, in compliance with the naming convention. So I'm just going to click OK now, and I'm going to close that and go back to my form so that we can put this into action. To do this, I'm going to get a button, but first of all you need to check ensuring your wizard is on. As you can see, my wizard is on there. How do you know whether the wizard is, the user control wizard is on? Basically, you see it selected and you see a red line surrounding it. Okay, so my wizard is on. So all I'm just gonna do, I'll go on design and click on the command button, position it appropriately there, and from the dialog box choose miscellaneous, run macro, next. Now the macro is right there, mcr my search. Okay, give it a suitable name. You can click on search, you can type search there to customize the text on your body. Next, finish, job done. Okay, so right now we're gonna test this form, and basically this is what we have at the moment. To be honest, if you don't want the interface widescreen, you can make it into something else. So I'm just gonna click on the form and go on format. So you can click on others where it says pop up, open it and select yes. Okay, Moda, you can make it Moda as well. Okay, and let's go back to formatting. We can leave the current border style, we can leave it as thin. Tentatively you can leave it as resizable, it's up to you, so that it should be possible to resize it. Navigation boarding, we don't need that, do we? But all these are not compulsory. I'm only just doing this just to make the form a little bit much more, so it's good like this. So what we're going to do currently is we're going to test this. Select availability. So if I type, let's say Friday, and for the job role let's type steward. Okay, actually we can type bartender. Let me type bartender, and I click on search. Note that it filters the record, and we have only one record displayed here, as you can see. We're gonna go further. Let's change this to, let's say, Monday, and click on the button. Nobody. So let's click on, let's type Tuesday, search. Okay. I'm just gonna put okay, let me put star there, see whether it allows for okay. So in any case, it works. So what I will do now is I'll go back to design view and just go over it. The name of the text box there, txt avail. This is txt role there, and lest I forget, we've got an embedded macro there. You can as well go back. If you want to go back to your macro, you see it here. Right click and go on design. Is there availability equal forms FRM staff availability txt avail and job role equal forms FRM staff availability txt role. So perfect. So like I said, so if I type, let's say let's see what other things we have there. Supposing we have, let's type security Monday, select availability, let's type Monday. Okay, job role security, and search. You see, it filters it automatically. Now what we need to do, because the question requires we make this a drop down so we can make a selection. Currently this is a text box, and we can't possibly make any selection here. So what we need to do is we're going to go back to design view and implement that. Right click on the text box and go on change to combo. Note that the text box is now a combo box. Click on the second one and go on change to combo. Please note that is a combo box as well, but currently the combo box doesn't have anything in it. What do I mean by that? If I click on form view, it's empty. See, it's empty. So we need to get something into it. Now where precisely do we have availability? Let's go to our tables. Availability, I believe, is on, okay, availability is on TBL staff, but if we look at availability, most of the records have been repeated and we do not want them repeated in the combo box. For instance, we have Monday, we have Friday, most of them have been repeated, and they shouldn't be, actually. Okay, so they shouldn't be. So what are we to do? We basically have to create a query here. Okay, we will create a query and do something about it. Okay, so I'll close that and quickly create a query. I'll go on create query design. Then I'm going to be adding TBL staff, and what we need there is the availability. I will drag and drop it. But if I run this now, basically you see them repeated the same way. So to make sure there is no redundant repetition, I'm gonna go on my SQL view and change and make this select distinct. Let's make it select distinct. If we make it select distinct and we run it now, note that there is no more repetition. So I'm going to save this. Let's call it QRY my avail. May call it anything anyway, so I'll call it my avail. So we're done with that, so I'll close it. Now I'm going to set my source to that, so I'll click on availability and go on data, and where it says row source, open it and select QRY my avail, which was the query we created a few minutes ago. Set that as your source. There will be no need to configure anything because it's only one column, so we have only one bound column there. So I'm just gonna go on form view so we can test it. Go on home. Now if I open that now, you should find all of the availability there. So if I select Friday now, and currently this doesn't have anything in it, so if I type, let's say, bartender, okay, and I click on search, see, it's filtered, which is perfect. So we need to repeat the same procedure to that. The same thing we did there we will do here. So I'm gonna right click and go on design, select that. Remember, this is the job role. The job role is on another table. The job role is not on the staff table. Remember, we're binding this form to the staff table, but the job role we need is here, okay, is on the job role. Therefore, what are we gonna do? And we know for sure that on the TBL staff, the job role ID is what we have. We do not have the actual job role. We do not have the actual job role, so we need to create a kind of query so that we can make it available. So all I'm gonna do, I'll go on create and then go on query design and then select job role, select TBL star, close. Now as it is now, because there's a relationship between the two, we only have job role ID on the TBL staff, but what we need is the job role. So we can pick the job role from here now and drop it, and if we run it, we should have it there, but it's repeated as we can see. So what are we gonna do? We do it the same way. Select distinct to remove all redundancy. So I'm just gonna type distinct. Yeah, making sure TBL job role. Okay, so select distinct. So if I run this now, there is no more redundancy, as you can see. So I will save this as QRY new J role, and I'm gonna save it and I'll close that. So now we're gonna set our row source to that. So I will select that and go on data, and where it says row source, open it and locate new job role, QRY new job role, and we're going to be saving that straight away. Now I can go on home from view. Now we have them now in the job role combo box. So this has been successfully implemented. So if I select Monday now and I select bartender, or let me select security, okay, you see it's filtered appropriately, which is what we want. And I can select another one. Let's select Friday to find out the staff which are available. The staff whose job role is steward, and they're available for Friday. We want to find out how many stewards are available for Friday. Oh, we have about 1, 2, 3 of them, and those are their names. So this is what will be required to implement. Now the next thing we need to do, the question says we need, already we've done all this now from here up to here. The next one we need to do is the total number of staff available for the job role and day. Okay, so we need to find out the number of staff available for the job role. Okay, so we can do this by going back to design view. We can put the summary here, the summary of the data. Alternatively, we can put it in the footer, but we probably want to put it where we can easily see them. So I will go on design, and I will drag and drop. But sometimes it's good to put it on the footer. So I probably want to put it somewhere in the footer here. Let me color this field with what color do I need here? Let me just call it. Okay. Now, to do simple calculation, we will drag and drop a text box basically. Right. Now I need to readjust this a little bit. Now, so we type, the question says total number of staff available. So I just copy that, and paste there. Okay, we need to adjust this. Okay, so the total number available. We also need to do some necessary formatting here. Let me format this. You go on format and font. I'm gonna make this 12. You probably want to make this 4 color. Make it that, and the font weight, make it bold. Okay. Yeah. So we can make it capital if you want, but I do not have time for all those. So now let's change the border color. Make the border color red. Make it blue. Okay. So now we're going to type in the formula. We simply just have to count how many staff are available. You can count using the staff surname. Alternatively, you can count using the staff forename. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go in there and type equal count. Okay, and then you type staff name exactly as it appears there. Staff surname count. Okay, as soon as I click out, please note the staff surname will be surrounded by a square bracket there. See, there's a square bracket there, there's a square bracket there, and then the count, a brace there. So we probably want to format this to 12. Increase the font size to 12. Okay, and that is it. So you see, right now we have 20 staff available, but this we have okay, let's search security. How many do we have available? 3, you can see. And for Monday, do we have any security available? We have 2 available. See, it's displayed. And how many steward do we have available for Monday? 0. So we have 0 available. Steward for both days, we have 2 of them available, and so on. So guys, this is precisely what you require to do, and I think we've successfully implemented the interface, and that's all. I will expect you to give this a go, try and see if you can implement that. Good luck. In subsequent lessons we'll be looking at some other question papers, and I wish you good luck.